Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of the season premiere for Season 3, premiere for The Witcher. The synopsis on IMDb says, no, this actually is the Netflix synopsis. Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri journey to the far reaches of the continent in search of a safe haven. King Vizimir puts his charming younger brother to use. So basically, young Ciri, being sort of raised by Geralt after her family was killed in the first season, is on the run with him now. She's got some unique things about her that either make everyone want to obtain her or to kill her, and so that is why they are on the run in a really brief nutshell. Yennefer wanted to use her for her own purposes previously and betrayed Geralt in the process, but now she regrets that. She is traveling with Geralt and Ciri and hoping to gain back Geralt's trust. So my relationship with the Witcher series has been very on again, off again for various reasons, but I did ramp up and binge watched the second season to get a running start at season 3, so I could really feel like I was in the series, familiar with what's going on, like give it my best try at really letting it get its hooks in me at the start of season 3. It looks like in at least the first half of this season, we've just, volume 1 only has been released, and I'm only commenting on the first episode. That's all I've watched. But I think in a month maybe or so, the second half of the season will be released. Anyway, it looks like for at least most of the first half of this season, they're going to be on the run, the three of them, but separated is the implication, I think, toward the end of this episode for part or most of this half of the season, and that's not helping me. I think if they would have committed to keeping them together, that would have put them on the road to kind of winning me and my interest in the characters and their story. I felt that the focus was spread too thin across characters for me last season. I need to have reason to invest in these three leads and their motives and their relationships, particularly, if possible, their relationships toward each other, because these are the three that I feel like the show wants us most to invest in. Yennefer had an interesting arc last season, and her arc this season seems to be about reconciliation with Geralt. But I don't care if they reconcile, especially not for them to romantically reconcile, because their past relationship, whatever it was very briefly kind of show. I think there was just one episode that brought them together as a quote-unquote couple, and their relationship was little more than flirting and sex. It's not some kind of romance of the ages or any kind of real romance that I feel like rooting for. Ciri arrives at a motive in this episode of wanting to use her status to bring peace and to unite people instead of all the war and suffering and conflict that she's been seeing up to this point. But this motive feels just kind of undeveloped before now. I don't want to say non-existent, but just not developed and focused on and built up to before now. It feels a little out of the blue. So I don't feel that drive along with her, because I don't feel like I've gotten a sense of her really suffering emotionally as she sees all this conflict in the way that I want to. I feel like she's mostly been on the run trying to survive in the wake of the loss of her family. That's kind of what I felt like her vibe has been for the last 2 seasons. Geralt is by nature stoic, and so in both his relationships and in his combat, I don't sense enough emotional struggle with him or vulnerability or drive in him for me to relate to him or root for or be concerned for him in any of those areas of his life. Now, some of that is the character's design. I'm not asking for him to be this weepy guy or to have this soft side where he cries every 3rd episode or something like that. I understand that that's the design of the character, but some of it is also Cavill's performance and the time that they choose in these scripts and with the editing and filming and stuff, the time they choose to neglect in investing in showing me his thoughts and emotions, subtle though they may certainly have to be in the way those things are expressed. There's still some time, some focus they could be giving to that would significantly help my investment in, I almost said Cavill, but Geralt, they're just not giving time to. Story and character aside, though, the action, the fantasy world elements those remain the chief draw for me. And the action and the fantastical are frequent throughout, and they still provide an interesting world to look at and to enjoy in many moments, both inside and outside of action. Even when there's just kind of incidental spellcasting and magic going on, I like that stuff too, and that's still a significant draw for me, and it's fairly plentiful in this episode as it has been leading up to this episode throughout the series. As far as the cast, I guess I'll go back and comment just a little bit on Geralt. I don't really have complaints for most of the cast, and I don't really have complaints about Henry Cavill, but I do wonder if I might like Liam Hemsworth, who will be replacing him as Geralt in Season 4. I wonder if I'll like Hemsworth a little more. Cavill had a very real and emotional feeling performance to me in a key scene of Man of Steel. But many other times, his style of acting as Superman, as Geralt, it reads a little false to me, and I can't quite pinpoint why that is. So that might be something going on with me that I can't recognize. Either way, I think I'm going to be open to a change, even as I really do look forward to the Warhammer series that Henry Cavill is reportedly doing next. I'm sure I'll be on board for at least trying that out. As far as stunts and visuals go, I mean, still great, still standard for the series. It's not the best, in my view, of premium television visual effects and set dressing and costumes and stuff like that, but it's still in the category, certainly, of premium. The fight sequences also seemed maybe a little bit more elaborate in this episode, which I hope will remain consistent after the premiere as well. I do wish Geralt felt a little more in peril during combat now and then. I already mentioned that regarding Cavill's acting style, but I think in the choreography itself, they could put him in peril a little bit more, make it seem like he's up against things that are a little bit more of a threat to him. But the trade-off of not having that be the case is plenty of cool and visually dramatic slow-mo takedowns and stylish kills and stuff. And there was certainly some cool moments of that in this episode. So I'm not going to complain too much. As far as themes, there's no single strong moral or philosophical theme that really stands out in this episode. Yennefer earning back Geralt's trust is the closest thing that I can think of. Maybe something that we'll have to reflect on regarding the nature of trust in relationships, the nature of forgiveness in relationships. I'm just going to have to kind of wait and see if any other themes develop as I watch, or if that theme is really developed intentionally. Now, I have no idea what your tastes are in TV shows, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, wait till both Volume 1 and 2 for Season 3 are out, and then, binge them when you feel like playing a game that it's the type of game you don't give your full attention to, and you can have this on as kind of a second screen and pause the game when it really starts to pull you in, go back to the game as it's not holding your interest as much. You still don't care about these characters and their story like you want to. And nothing about this premiere indicates that may change. But if they keep nudity to a skippable minimum, there actually wasn't any in this episode, and if the world and action continue to be explored in interesting ways, it may be worth half your attention to finish out at some point. This show, as of this season anyway, the overall rating for this season, not for this episode specifically, is a TVMA for gore, language, nudity, and violence. And those are all my thoughts for now on the Season 3 premiere of The Witcher. As always, I'd love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell, do all the cool things that you kids know how to do to share this content, stay connected to it. Always really appreciate that. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then I hope you will check out our podcast and stay connected to all CGC content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.